these men that are in their 60s are true champions. Each and every one of them have been through trials, tribulations, and tests. It's their testimony. So now they have this platform and they could truly sell hope. And to sell hope over 60 is that it's not over until he says it's over. And they're truly being a living example of finishing strong.
I played with players that they're not going anywhere unless the sponsor pays for them and they get extra treatment, they get this and that. I'm with 14, 15 guys and the other 2 had prior engagements. Everybody on the team paid their own way to come up to a place that's gotten pretty bad publicity. It's amazing. These guys, I love these guys for what they've done. I've only been on 4 tournaments. I feel like I've known these guys my whole life. It's gotten me excited again about softball, for all the right reasons.
If the game does not end before darkness, we will have to give some of the players a ride home. They can't all drive at night. So any volunteers can just see me here at the broadcast station.
As a group that we just played today, you're talking about a group of Hall of Famers is what you're talking about. You're talking about a group of guys that have been doing this game since the early 20s, minimum, all the way up to where they are right now. And the thing about age and the thing about time, you get better with your fundamentals. Everything comes a little bit easier to you when it comes to the game. You're just a smarter ball player. They're the beneficiaries of that knowledge. They put it together, and you see what they're doing. Because unfortunately, we had to be the other side of that butt kicking today. But that's because it's a direct reflection on what they've given to the game.
Number one, they're amazing players, but bottom line is they're amazing people. The way they carry themselves, not only on the ball diamond, but in the journey of life, is something that will stay with me forever. I had the chance to watch these guys have a great time today, from the moment they hit the field to the moment the last player took their last swing and walked off. And the thing that will always stay with me about Team Hollis is the quality of these guys. What they're doing in communities as they connect and make a difference. It's something that will never leave me. I may never meet one of them or see one of them again, but I can tell you what they did today will always leave an impression on me, will always be with me, and in our community, in our Boys and Girls Club, it will always stay true.
Audie Hollis, he has become, one of my best friends, and what he brings to the team, obviously he's the heart behind the team, or the brains, I don't know, you probably want to say the brains. He's one of these guys that sacrifices for the team. It's kind of why I coach, because I want to get him in more than he would put himself in.
To play on that top level, this is what I got to do. I can't play because of my foot speed, and I can't play because of my defense. The reason I can play is because I got power, and I can hit the ball hard. And there's a place for me on that team. But I'm competing against every other big, strong man out there. So I have to do this. And I hope to do it as long as I can.
Nice. He's always been there for me every step of the way. And, I try to model my life after that for my son and my daughters.
He's a great guy, He's raised 6 kids. He came from nothing. He was a paper boy. He's the only one in his family to go to college.
Confident, strong, smart ass.
I've always thought my dad to be a superstar, superhero, super dad.
Conceited.
Audie is a great guy. Anybody who's met him and gotten to know him, he's a quality person, a stand-up guy, the type of people that people really respect.
Mostly probably self-worshipping.
He went out of his way to make our lives so much better than his was growing up. And it's, you know, you don't realize it until you're out on your own and you realize how tough life really is.
He loves to kid around. You can literally say half the stuff that he says is true because the other half he's just making it up just to get a reaction.
He asked me to pull his finger on an airplane once, but instead of just, you know, going through with it, he stood up and bent over in the airplane, and this was quite a small plane.
A body in motion is going to continue in motion. And I think, you know, thank God he's figured it out years ago and he's still trucking along. But right now I'm 28 and I thought, God, my knees hurt and my elbows hurt, my shoulders, I'm going to die soon. And I'm looking at him and I'm like, dude, he doesn't even take Advil. He takes nothing. And I'm like, I have to take 5 Advil to get out of the bed. I'm 28. That's not good.
Everything he does, he goes hard. He doesn't stop. You know, he just can't get to this level. He has to be at the top of everything.
The world all revolves around you.
Well, hey, what
It all revolves around me.
No. The world doesn't, but I am the center of the universe.
Okay, well, same difference.
I grew up on the north side of town, which is a relatively poor side of town, and so we were relatively poor growing up. But we didn't know it because everybody around that neighborhood was the same way. Nobody in our family had ever gone to college, and so my whole goal in life was to go to college. I was able to accomplish that in 4 years and, you know, put myself through college, and then, you know, was able to get married and, you know, had a wonderful wife and had 6 great children, and now I've got 12 grandchildren. Through all the years, you know, I was very involved in sports as a young man. Then once I got about 30, I quit playing all sports because of the kids and wanting to train them, coach them, go to PTA meetings, recitals. Life quit being about Audie and started being about others. And so I did that for 20 years, and then it's amazing. You do all this stuff and you go through life, and all your energy and all your focus is about your family. And then you wake up and they're all gone. You're sort of like, gee, I'm back to me again, you know? And so what do? We feel like we're passing through life and we're going through stages. And, you know, these next stages, you see these next stages coming. All of us have parents that are, you know, they're 80 or 85. Most of us have lost one parent or two. And so we've all experienced that. Like when my father died 3 years ago, man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And yet we were close, but we didn't spend an appreciable amount of time together. But I always knew that no matter what happened in life, the one guy that's going to support me is my dad. He's always going to have my back, and I'm always going to be his boy. And then when that goes, it just hits you like a ton of bricks. Thankfully, my mother's still alive. Now, she's the same way. I mean, she'll always have my back, but, you know, we can see that she's not going to be here forever. And then it hits you, the next generation, the next 20 years is us. My life was knocking along pretty good, and I really enjoyed my life, and everything's going fine. And then 28 years into my marriage, our marriage broke up. And that hit me like a ton of bricks, because I was just totally in love. Through the circumstances that we had, I ended up having to raise 6 kids, with the youngest being 9. You know, I had a 9, 11, a 13, a 15, a 17, and a 19. When you're family oriented and that blows up, you're just devastated because you don't really understand it. It hits you so hard. There was about a 2-year period there that I was just totally devastated. I wasn't even the same guy. I've always been an upbeat, you know, life's good, you know, the glass is filling up, it's not going down. That's the only time I've ever been depressed in my life. The only time that chemically in my brain I didn't think right.
My mom left physically and my dad left mentally.
He's, you know, always motivated, always pushing us, do better, do your best, be your best. And to see him at his lowest, I mean, I think that was the first time I ever saw my dad cry. You know, to a kid, your dad is Superman. He's a superhero. He's this big, burly, muscular guy, you know? So yeah, to see him at his lowest point, it was devastating. It affected all of us.
I saw my mom, I saw my dad, and no one could touch them. I mean, to me, they were a king and a queen. They were not going to be broken apart. It almost was like he just disintegrated. His body was weak, he was weak, his confidence was gone. I mean, he failed. and it took him a while to pull through it, but it was one of the biggest mountains he climbed personally, and we were following right behind him, you know, just pushing, or maybe not pushing, but just watching as he was getting through it, you know?
I always looked at people that had a problem in their life that they couldn't handle, particularly if it was something to do with depression, as being weak. And I always looked at things black and white. And then after going through that period of time in my life, for about a 2-year period where I was super depressed, I began to realize that it's not a weakness. You can't control it. You just physically can't control it. You can't control those emotions of how you feel. And you don't really want to talk to anybody about it because you feel like you're a failure. You feel like you failed your family. And even though you're maybe not at fault, that's the way you feel. And so you don't want to brag about that. You don't want to go out and explain that to somebody. You don't want to talk to somebody. You want to shield people from that. And so you put on the face that, hey, everything's fine. But inside you're dying. From that point, you know, after a couple of years, then my life had turned around, you know. Christine Lee came into my life and changed that so that I was looking forward to life rather than down. But here's the big thing about that. It really showed me where I was so judgmental to other people that I couldn't be anymore. Now I understood. When somebody was hurting, I can empathize with them. I had one good friend that's son was killed. And, you know, we're at a tournament and he gets a call that his only son, his only child, has been killed. And man, you know, he didn't know what to do. He didn't know what to do. But I knew I couldn't stay at that tournament. I had to go with him. And I had to go back and be with him because, you know, this is a bad time in his life. And that's 5 years ago. Even today, it still affects him, and in not a good way. You know, and I'm just so thankful not to ever have something like that happen to my family. But it just changes your heart on people. It changes the way you look at people.
Life is a series of chapters. And when one door closes, God's got another chapter waiting for you. And he sits back and waits to see if we ever figure out what that next chapter is. And once in a while, as a person ages, they believe that and they live that. And they stay young. And they figure out something new that they love to do. And every one of these men do that. They've all had different chapters in their life. And this chapter of 60 and over, world class, going around, inspiring people with what they can do, but most importantly, giving back. What they did in the Dominican Republic, etc. Priceless. And they teach us that's the way to live. And they're the happiest people.
So much more than just it's a softball game. You know, these guys are going to make a community better with the whole giving concept. I don't think anybody out there compares. I don't think anybody's doing what they're doing. I mean, for Team Hollis to have embraced the possibility of bringing a Dominican kid of poor resources in the Dominican Republic over here to the States to have an education and to have a future, a chance at that, you know, that alone, it sets them apart. It's something that, who else is doing that?
I said, well, I wonder if they got softball down there. And so I get connected with a guy with softball. All of a sudden, we've changed people's lives because we built wells in the mountain for them. I never thought in a trillion years I'd ever build a well in a mountain in the Dominican Republic, because I have 2 boys from the Dominican that are living with me, which is unbelievable. And none of that was planned.
Have a good day, man. What does that mean? Hey, say, hey.
What?
Huh? What did he say?
He said, see you later.
Well, I think Raphael had a big part in this, because had Raphael not starting Giving Feels Awesome and collecting equipment up at Pizza Gallery, Ed never would have known about this, most likely.
The gentleman, Rafael Nunez, told me about this movie called The Player. And I watched The Player, the movie, and if you have a chance, watch it. It tells you about what happens down in the DR. I watched that and I thought that these kids are being taken advantage of. So that was in the back of my mind. And I said, you know what I'd love to do is give a young man a chance to come here and go to school. So I told him, I said, if you found a boy that was a good athlete, because I'm not a rocket scientist, I'm not going to teach him in geometry. I can hire tutors for that. So we got down there, and sure enough, Raphael had a friend that had a son, a little skinny boy, about 130 pounds, and we ended up bringing him over here, and it was a unique experience. We never thought out the whole process, and we never thought our granddaughter would say, "Oh, you're replacing me." No, we're not replacing you, honey. And I think it was my coaching was not over with.
I mean, you think about Dionis coming from the DR and getting the opportunity over here. I mean, you're talking about changing family trees here. I mean, Dionis gets over here, gets an education, could start a business, could go make a 6-figure income. I mean, the world's changing. He's bilingual. I mean, so many just from really the sport of softball.
That little Jersey boy that grew up running them streets was responsible for people from another country changing their lives. And what will those two young men do to change other people's lives? If that's not a legacy for my family to learn from, when my grandkids look at that from the correct perspective, you know, they're already special people, and what are they going to do?
It was an amazing experience yesterday when we arrived here. We were greeted by all the townspeople, the mayor, and a lot of people, a lot of wonderful young people who showed some of their cultural dances and the music for us. It was just amazing. They welcomed us to the city. They had all of the Little League teams here. It was an amazing, amazing experience.
Fixing to play guys from 17. I think the youngest guy is 17, the oldest is 50. And we got a couple of our guys, our Dominicans, that are living in the States with us, and they're playing with us, and they're 16. So, and our oldest guy is, I think, me, 68. So we're fixing to take on the young boys and see what happens, and let's go get them.
You know, we're going to keep in perspective. We're here to be good ambassadors, be good sports, but we're going to be competitive as we can be. There's some good players over here.
I just went over there, and you know, Raphael wanted me to tell me that we're going to beat him, right? But I used American logic. Guys, you're going to beat us by 50 runs. You all look like you should be in the major leagues, man. Just take it easy on us old people.
There you go.
Now we go show them.
That's right. the managers, they were like, this was such a huge deal to them, that we would travel there. And they made the speech that the major league players are from here. They have tons of money. They don't do anything, especially for the small town. I know hundreds of people went to Dominican Republic, to the resorts on the ocean. I don't know anybody that's went to Nagua. They really warmed up to us. I don't think they knew what to think in the beginning. I gave a kid a bat, and he just put his head down, and I asked Raphael if he was all right, and he goes, yeah, he's overwhelmed.
The concept is simple. It's connecting the haves with the don't haves. There's a lot of things we discard in our houses, a lot of things that pile up in our garages, in a room, in a closet somewhere, and somebody's expecting it, somebody has a use for it. And rather than selling it or throwing it away, connecting those people that need it with those that have and making it happen, creating that connection, not letting it go to waste, and having people be very grateful for receiving it.
In the last 2 years, we've gone into the charity thing, and we've loved it so much, and we've got so much return from it, and that's kind of where it's heading from now on. We have this organization that is more than softball. Just like extra innings, it's more than softball. It's about getting old and getting old gracefully.
First impression, you're like, he's crazy, he's just out of control. And is there a mute button on this guy?
He's a f***ing one of a kind. He's definitely a one of a kind. But bottom line is that guy will give you a shirt off his back, and I don't know that many people like that.
Yeah, I thought he was a nut. And, I've grown to really love this guy. He's got his game face on, and some of us do.
I tell you something, you want somebody standing in your corner, that's the man you want standing in your corner. It is truly what you see is an act.
What?
I would describe him as very intense, very driven, very passionate about softball and things that he really enjoys doing. His family as well.
Mean.
He is absolutely crazy. He cares a lot about everyone, and he does everything to help others.
Mean.
I love him one day, the next day I hate him.
He's not really mean, everybody thinks he's mean. He's softy.
Again, intense. He is very intense. Probably too intense.
Very meaningful to us, the team, particularly.
Is he trying to take credit for all this thing? It's the man. I'm the man behind the plan.
I remember him always auditioning for reality shows and things. He always wanted to his voice to be heard.
I don't know what this fascination with him is about the reality show. He got a couple of interviews for Survivor, and some of the videos he did to get on some of these shows were a little different.
A lot of times people that are loud like that don't have the game to back it up, but when he has the game to back it up, that puts him in a different category. And I think to continue to do what he's doing, closing in on 68, 70 years old, Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive.
That's why I'm hated by half the country. You know why? Because we win them most of the time.
And I think there are a lot of people lately, in the last probably 10 years, that have come around and said, I never knew the real you. I always thought you were a real jackass. And I hated you.
I was a street kid from New Jersey. Father died when I was 12. Never cried at his funeral. You know, when you're in New Jersey, you don't want to cry much because, you know, where I lived, you had to be tough. And unfortunately, I developed a fight or flight that everybody has. Well, you know, my deal was fight.
You know, I don't think growing up we said, I love you a lot, but we loved each other. You know, he showed it in different ways.
He was gone a lot. He missed a lot of birthdays, a lot of holidays. He was gone a lot. I mean, he was there as well, but he missed a lot.
I had no idea what kind of dad I was because I had no, you know. Now, you gotta stop for a minute. I didn't have any role model.
My Grammy kind of like raised him, like because he had a tough childhood, and when she passed, everyone kind of just like, we kind of all lost it, I guess you could say, and it was really tough on him.
Grammy has had so much effect on my grandpa, and just the person that he is, you can tell that Grammy helped him become that person. Like he's doing with Dionis and Brian, she did that with him.
You know, my mother-in-law was just a prince of a lady. She was the most giving person. I'm going to try to get through this without, she said, I want to give you something before I go. And I learned that from her. And it was tough. Probably the toughest disease in the world is when you lose your memory. Wow.
When he did my mother's memorial service, he broke down so many times that I don't think anybody could believe it. But it was like she was like a mother to him.
That is a real touchy subject, as you know. But she was a special person. How did it affect me? I wish I could live my life like her, you know, a giving person. As a young man, I dreamed of being a professional baseball player, as do most. I became a father, a grandfather, a great-grandfather, a guardian of 2 boys from the Dominican Republic. I'm playing with some great athletes, you know, on Team Hollis who give back because they've been so blessed. Never dreaming that I would meet the love of my life as a young man and spend 53 years together, and now we're battling cancer together. That's what I call life, and I'm not changing a minute of it.
This team changes you in a very, very good and positive way.
If I get hit by a car tomorrow, I think I would be content. Now, saying that, I feel that I'm only in the 6th inning of a 9-inning game, and I've got a long way to go. There's a lot more things I want to do.
The day is a day that it's one you've never seen before, and it's one you'll never see again when it's gone. And I think about that every morning I get up. I'm like, oh gosh, you know, I'm trying to get in the shower, and I'm like, you know, you got to perk up, buddy. It's a good day, man. You're here.
It's incredibly hard for us to do this alone. You have to have someone put their arm around you, someone take the belt and kick you in the rear end.
But I'm going to tell you something. You need to find passion in your life. You need to find that passion, and it can't always be work. You can go through every cemetery in the world, and not one headstone reads, "Here lies so-and-so. I wish I would have spent more of my life working."
After this, I don't know what he's going to be doing, because I think he's going to play this until his dying day.
You keep going, you keep having fun, you keep living life. It's not done. Being old isn't a death sentence. It's a new chapter. It's a whole new start to life.
I've got less time than I've got money.
The money isn't important, the time is important to me now, more than anything that I've got, and I don't want to squander it.
I'm 61. There's a lot of things I want to accomplish that I'm going to accomplish, okay? You know, Lord willing. And now's the time to do it.
What am I doing now? I'm getting ready to go back to Vegas for the 3-peat. Will we win it? Really, it doesn't matter, because it's about the journey and not the destination. I wanted to do something never done before, and this is by a 59-year-old guy that's willing to do this, to get a call for the interview. And I'm going to tell you, the interview won't be boring. And if I'll do this for nothing, think about what I'll do as a survivor. Just remember this, folks. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
How in the world we ever found wives that would put up with us, you know?
Come on, Donnie. I mean, how much of that shit you gotta bleep?
Okay, kids, look at this. Watch this. We got fire, right? I'm going to show you. What the hell are you doing, man? You about drowning my ass.
My dad would tear us up with that belt. But he said, listen, if anybody ever talks about your mama, anytime, you got my full permission to put your fist in their mouth, and you're not in trouble with me. So I use that quite a bit when I was growing up. That was a good excuse to have. If somebody's talking about mama.
Anybody can lift 100 pounds with one arm. Now, how many people can really do this? If you don't get down after Dr. Oz show, if you don't get down to the health food store before 11 o'clock, all the stuff that he was hawking is gone. And you can look around. This is all Dr. Oz stuff. I can't remember what half this stuff is for. That's a lot of damn weight. What human being at 68 years old is lifting 100 pounds with one arm? Dave ought to be in the Guinness World Book record. The best way to control your diet is one move in your personal life, and the move is like this. You know what that is? That's pushing away from the table. You know what they say, to each their own. And this is how I roll right here.
Extra innings are new beginnings. Extra innings, 'cause the game of life is not complete. When it's your turn up to bat and life throws a curve at you, how you hit it says a lot about you. A lot about you. 'Cause in the game of life, no one gets out alive. You can either die in the bleachers or on the field. We are on the field. We are on the field. We are on the field. Turn on the lights, we're playing into the night.